together today. Uh, you're away at college, Bryce.
Yeah, yeah.
Reese is going to be joining you in the not too distant future, right?
Yes. Yeah, next semester I'll be joining him at Oneonta.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tell me about that school. What's that about? Never.
So what was that?
I've never heard of it, so I'm curious.
Yeah, so Oneonta is a state school up here in New York, and the reason I go here is because they have a fantastic music industry program. It's only about an hour and 40 minutes from my house too, and the program is sick. It's rated as like one of like the top in the nation by Billboard, and I'm learning so much here, and just the scene here is incredible too. Like since it's such a big music industry school, there's a lot of kids that love music, and with a lot of kids that love music, we have a lot of bands. So just like almost every day of the week, there's a show going on. Tomorrow we're actually playing in Oneonta again, and these shows have been insane. Like stage diving doesn't stop. Literally, the entire crowd will be the mosh pit. Like we had like the last few shows, like the places have been filling over capacity. Like it is such a great scene and such a great school. Like, and now Reese will be here next year, and it is, oh, I can't wait. I love it here.
Cool, man. Yeah, I guess that would be the place to be. Stay away from that.
Yeah.
Unless you're crazy though, right? Stage diving.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that crap, man. I can't do that. I'm a big guy anyway. People, they see me stage dive, they're like, just move out of the way, and I'm flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the day, like, actually, it was funny. There was one show I was at, as an undercover show. Undercover. The vocalist pulled me up on stage and like did the crowd surfing thing and pushed me on, and it was cool until I got to the back and realized that, well, I was at the front of the stage. Now I'm at the back of the crowd. Well, that's
Yeah.
You lost the spot.
Without me.
Oh.
All right, guys. So, I'm going to try and not jump around here. I think I already kind of jumped the gun with the college because that was later in my list, but it just happens. I try to free flow with it and see what happens.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm drinking my coffee. It's just my morning. I'm one of those rock guys that get up till noon after day. Like my Batman mug.
Nice.
So, guys, I got to be honest and say, and I've seen this show up on the internet, on social media. Even now, I mean, a number of times, people are just now discovering you. And I heard about you guys a number of years ago, like, a few years ago. Never even gave you a chance, strictly because you're called Brotality. And I thought that was the cheesiest ever. But, in all fairness, I thought Metallica was a stupid name when they came out too. Who puts metal in the name? I mean, that's ridiculous. And a lot of Megadeth, really, Megadeth. I mean, come on, you guys are ridiculous. And so I got to thinking, you can't really judge a book by its cover, so maybe I should check these guys out. And I'm blown away. I was like, wow, okay, I've been missing out here. But I'm finding that a lot of people are having that same issue. So you got to tell me why you guys chose Brotality, other than the obvious that you're brothers. But there's got to be more to it, hopefully, than that. And why you stuck with that in the face of people maybe not gravitating your direction immediately. They have to hear it before they believe you.
So we like to say it's because we're brothers making brutal music. And first of all, like, just like you mentioned, there's so many band names where, like, if you really think about it, like Metallica or like Megadeth, like it does sound over the top and like even cheesy. Like there's so many bands like that. But I always think of it like, even if you don't love the name Brotality, I feel like you're definitely going to remember that. Like that's something that'll stick in their head. So whether you're a fan or not, you'll remember the name. And we like to have fun with our music too. Like we're easygoing guys. We don't take ourselves too seriously. So we figure have the name reflect our personalities as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And has anybody mistaken you guys for being something other than what you are, like not. I mean, I don't know how metal it sounds. Brutality. I mean, you may think you guys are like a hip hop act or something. Yeah.
I don't remember ever having that happen. But yeah, like Bryce said, like we don't take ourselves too seriously. Like at the end of the day, it's music, it's entertainment. We're trying to have fun with it. We want people to have fun with it. And yeah, like we're like Bryce mentioned a few of those examples. Like we're a fan of those like single word band names, like band names like Anthrax and Exodus and Metallica. And even if it's cheesy, again, like I think there's a certain element to it that trying to take yourself so seriously and having band names with like 7 words in it sometimes just gets over the top and it's just like miscellaneous and you can't figure out who's who anymore. So I feel like Brutality at least sticks out.
Yeah, and I feel too like that a name that maybe is a little over the top, like at least for me, like it makes me want to check them out. Like I think there's this one band, their name is called Meth Witch, and like that's so ridiculous. But like I heard the name Meth Witch and I was like, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard. I have to at least listen to that. So maybe there'll be some of that going on for other people with Brutality.
I'm wearing a Witch Hazel shirt.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Reese.
I've heard of them before. I've listened to a few songs of theirs and I like what they sound like, but for whatever reason, I just haven't like checked out a whole album of theirs yet.
Yeah, if you did listen to one, listen to the most recent one called Pentecost. I think that's the best.
Cool.
The first.
Definitely. I think we have one downloaded. It might be that one, but we'll check.
I mean, that's a name. It's like it's a cleaning supply, Witch Hazel. It's so not metal, but they're a metal band, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
to do with witches. It's just kind of a funny name. They were going to call themselves Jerusalem, but it was already taken.
Ah.
And witches. There's a big difference between Jerusalem and Witch Hazel. Haven't had a chance to talk to those guys yet, but I'll get to see. So, we talked about the name, what criticisms people, it's not metal, it just sounds cheesy, but then they hear you, they're into it, the origin of the name. So you've established yourselves as a band. You guys are playing shows like all the time. You've got a pretty big following, especially on the East Coast there. We'll talk about getting to the West Coast. But let's get right into the meat of things right now. You just dropped a new video, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Video, single, Frost Empire. I appreciate the lyrical breakdown and where you're coming from that. Then I saw the video and the official video, and I thought, well, this has nothing to do with what the song's in. It's really like this abandoned warehouse or whatever. And the visual aspect of that is nothing of what's being representative in the song. So you got to tell me, was it just budget that you couldn't? Because I saw you guys out in the snow, and I thought maybe you would film the video out in the snow, giving that frost type thing, and then it ends up being something completely different. So you got to give me the breakdown on how the video came to be and why you decided that location versus something frosty.
Yeah. That's a good question. So, well, 2 things. Well, one is that, yeah, budget and being a smaller band absolutely plays into stuff like that. So it'd be ignorant to say that didn't play into it. And actually we record and Bryce edits the entire video himself. It's all done by us. We don't pay anyone to do it. So all of our videos are done like that as of now. So yeah, we had that location that we thought would just look sick regardless of the song. You could do cool things with lighting. And when we're doing the single shots of Bryce and I, there's that like light bulb swinging overhead. So like cool things like that we thought would look really cool in the video. And also, I would say Frost Empire is probably like the dirtiest song of ours, like the most just like, yeah,
Nasty.
like nasty, exactly. And yeah, especially just that super low distorted bass in the beginning and drums is just nasty. So we thought kind of like abandoned grimy place with like flickering lighting would complement the sound of the song really well. And especially the like up close shots of us like kind of looming above the camera, as well as the slow-mo shots that kind of show that string slack on the bass and the guitar. All those things just kind of, it wasn't necessarily let's try to complement the lyrics of the song, but visually, what do you want in a video? Something that's compelling and that's going to hold the viewer's attention. So we knew, okay, here's a heavy, hard-hitting, nasty song. Let's complement that with the visuals as much as we can so we could keep people watching.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. When I heard the title of the song, I thought, boy, that sure sounds like a black metal type deal going on. And then I saw you guys' new shirts online. I was like, okay, tell me that there's not a connection there. It's in your mindset. Black metal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We love that stuff. Like, I always love those logos that are like borderline unreadable.
Yeah.
And it's just that aesthetic is so cool. So we figure like this song, we dipped into our black metal inspiration and pulled some stuff out. So we figured like this is the time. Let's make some merch that goes with the song. And yeah, that merch store is still up right now if anybody wants to pick any up, depending on what time this video goes live.
Now, you guys are just now you're a duo. Who's playing drums for you right now? Are you guys still looking for a drummer? I mean, you lost your drummer, but you're still playing gigs. So tell me what's the latest on that?
Yeah, so Liam left the band officially. It was around late September of 2021. And since then, my roommate up here at school, Tyler Tompkins, you can find him on Instagram at Guitar Tyler, absolutely phenomenal musician. He's been filling in with drums, and we could not have been doing anything we've done in the past 4 or 5 months without him. Like, he's played every gig. I don't even think we've had to turn down a gig. Like, Tyler has been rock solid, but even though he is an absolute animal of a drummer, he's ridiculous at guitar, and that's his true passion. So in terms of looking for a full-time drummer, right now we have not announced who our full-time drummer will be, but we've narrowed it down very considerably, and that announcement will probably be coming sooner than later.
Okay, cool. Look forward to that. So just again, I'm trying not to go all over the place, but things just pop in my head and it's just random, and some of it's going to be stupid, but you know, somebody wants to know. So you guys are brothers, and I'm looking at you side by side here. You've got the wildest hair, and you've got a little tame mane going on here. What happened? I mean, do you perm yours? Do you straighten yours? I mean, something happens. It's just genetics, and you don't really know, or what?
Yeah, I don't know where, maybe Bryce knows secretly and he won't tell anyone, but no one really knows where Bryce's hair comes from because neither of my parents, I mean, my dad had long hair growing up, but like none of my parents have hair like Bryce, neither of my parents. And obviously my hair is a lot thinner and it's more normal looking, I guess you could say, than Bryce's hair. Bryce's hair is wild. And Bryce, you don't like perm your hair or anything either. It's just like natural like that.
Yeah.
And I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't a little jealous.
Yeah. No, yeah. All I do is a handful of conditioner and that's it.
Handful.
A handful. It has to be a full handful, or else I'm done. It's so hard to take care of. I snapped my brush in the shower this morning. So it's not easy by any means, but yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I get it. At least you got some hair.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the metal thing, right? Unless you're bald, then it's the metal thing. It's whatever.
True.
Reece, you could go bald. You could go bald right now, Reece.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had long hair in high school, and then I cut it off for 10 years or so, and I grew it back. And now I'm like, I go back and forth between whether I should cut it. I really don't want to, and I don't want to be forced into it. So I'm like kind of standing my ground. You know?
Yeah.
I got COVID, and the funny, wasn't funny, sad thing is that my hair started falling out after that. And I guess that's something that's affected a lot of people.
Oh,
wow. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that's it. So number of people that have lost their hair, it's thinned out a lot. So I'm
Yeah.
all kinds of vitamins and using special shampoos and conditioners now. And it's actually come back a lot from what it was, but it was pretty bad for a minute there. And I was like this close to just whacking it all off because it just looked so bad.
Oh
Well,
man.
happy it's coming back.
Yeah.
So moving on, I know that you guys, you've done lyrical breakdowns of your songs, and obviously you have what means to you, and then there's what people will take away from it, and that's fine. That's all fine and good. I understand that. I appreciate the breakdowns and getting into the mindset where you're coming from. One of the things that I'm curious about and interested about is you guys popped up on my radar. Well, I've talked to a lot of bands over the years. I mean, I've interviewed almost everybody. A few bands, Iron Maiden, I haven't done Megadeth, haven't done Metallica. I've met all those guys, out with them. I've been to Ozzy's house, got to interview him a little bit. I've been around.
Wow.
That being said, in recent years, I've kind of moved away from the mainstream stuff, stuck to the underground, and then the underground has actually brought me back to where I kind of grew up in, is the Christian metal scene. And that's where you guys popped up on my radar. Was Rottweiler's got different bands on there, like Eagles of Diathon, or part of that, I believe. And different bands, of course, Grave Rock. And you guys have professed that. I see it. I see you wearing the mortification shirts and things like that, and doing that. You got like a cross in your name there, and so it's representative. And then I'm seeing you pop up on different radio stations. Like one of the radio stations that I work with, we play your stuff on all the time. And so, looking at the lyrics, I've had a difficult time taking anything Christian away from it. And so I'm wondering where you guys stand as far as your Christianity, because I claim Christianity, and how that ties into the band, and ultimately what you're trying to, if it ties into the band, and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to convey, where you stand on that. Are you just a band that happens to be Christians in the band? There's a lot of that going around, and ultimately a lot of Christians these days, right now, in light of what's going on in the world, are really looking for something that's going to anchor them to the gospel. I know, like in your most recent lyric breakdown, you talk about a hope, but you don't talk about what that hope is or could be. And so I'd love to hear a testimony from you guys, where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Bryce and I are both Christians. We've been Christians for our whole life. It's super important to us. It's the most important thing to us. And as well as whatever we do with our music comes from a place of trying to spread a message of hope and positivity, especially through Christ. So at the end of all of our shows, Bryce tells everyone that God loves them. And as a band, one of our things too is that, in this message of hope and positivity and love to anyone and everyone who we meet, we try not to beat people over the head with it. We don't want to write Christian music for Christians. We want to write positive, hope-filled music that from us comes from a place of a belief in God, largely, to anyone that needs that message of hope. So by labeling ourselves a Christian band only, or by writing lyrics that might exclude, and I don't mean writing lyrics and trying to just cover up a hopeful message or cover up a belief in God, right? Like our song, The Way of Suffering off Worldwide Desolation, that song is blatantly about Jesus's crucifixion. I got that from watching Passion of the Christ, and it's blatant in that song. And our song Foxhole is very similar in that, and dealing with evidence for God and the fact that there is evidence for God. So it's definitely there in my lyrics, and I try to make it there. But also I think there's definitely some merit to, again, not beating people over the head with it, but just giving people a pretty good glimpse of the hope that comes with Jesus.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like even as someone, as a Christian, sometimes listening to Christian music that is like straight up in the message, like it's great, but sometimes I feel like it is a little bit like beating over the head. Like I'd personally rather lyrics, and Reese is the lyricist, so he does all of this, but like I would rather lyrics that maybe make you dive in a little bit, and especially if you're not a Christian coming into it, like I feel like it's almost a turnoff to hear lyrics that are like straight beating you over the head. It's like, I'm not into this. But if you're hearing lyrics for like, there is this message of hope, you can dive into other stuff in our catalog and unveil a little bit where we're getting that hope from. But yeah, I feel like Reese, you killed that. That was great.
I had to bring it up because, I mean, I'm a lyricist myself, and my all-time favorite vocalist and probably lyricist is Dio. And most people have no clue what this guy's talking about. And I was able to pick apart the songs and represent what was as close as I thought where he was coming from. He was very intrigued when I sat down with him, talked to him, and he was surprised that I was able to get as much out of it as I did and be as close to what he originally intended for. So my lyrics in turn have always kind of reflected it. Been very kind of esoteric, very difficult to understand, very deep meaning, very personal to me and open to interpretation. But I personally felt convicted in light of just the way the world is these days to start writing my stuff, actually just using scripture, basing on scripture, because I was reading the word and it said, faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. And so while we're trying to encourage people to have hope and to have faith and find this route without telling them exactly what it is, it leaves them open to get into whatever. Right now, there's a big thing going around called, where people will say, they'll say, I'm spiritual. And so I actually put it into a lyric recently. Like, what do you mean you're spiritual? I mean, even demons believe they're spiritual. Demons are spiritual. What do you mean you're spiritual? And people are getting into, oh, my higher power, and they get into all these things, be it, some kind of witchcraft or new age, or, that believe in ghosts or past lives, reincarnation, things, all kinds of different things, because there's nothing to anchor them to the truth. And so they're finding hope, but they're finding a false in the wrong places. And so I just want to encourage you guys, not saying you guys should do that. I mean, you got to go where you're led and whatnot. But I'm saying that there's a lot of Christians out there that are looking for more of that. And I don't feel that it's beating them over the head just by making, a declaration of faith or a profession of faith. I mean, the apostles would go to a town and they would share the gospel. But if people didn't want to hear it, they'd just tell them to get lost, and they would. They didn't stick around and force it upon them. And the reason I bring this up is because I've talked to other bands in the past who have been claiming to be Christians, and they're where you guys are at in one regard. They're going to a college, and I find that a lot of the universities out there today, most of them teach a very anti-Christ agenda. You can be a Buddhist, you could be a Hindu, you could be a Muslim, you could be whatever. But if you're a Christian, no, we're not going to have that. And I've seen people abandon the faith because they're not rooted in the Word and they don't study. Which I agree. Sorry, tripping around words here. But the Foxhole song, that's interesting to know that you're talking about evidence, because that's something that apologetics has always been my forte in actually showing that there's evidence to support a Christian faith, and that's the absolute truth. So I appreciate you for doing that. But I would encourage you guys, just be on guard when you're out there in the world, going to college. There's so many people out there that would just love to see you guys fall, tear you down, and just see you be that secular band, that band, that it's just anti-God and all that. And I've seen a lot of Christian bands from back in the day, and even recent, that have gone that way. I mean, there's websites, you can go join social media where people are all on there talking about the days that they used to be Christian and in this music and directly related to the music industry, and now they're not. I mean, you guys have probably stumbled across it.
Right. Yeah. I thank you for saying that. But yeah, and I think another thing, just to elaborate a little bit on what I was saying before, is that with like this message of love that we try to put out there to anyone who's listening. I think that's because when I read the Bible, and especially when I read anything with Jesus, he is the embodiment of love, right? Everything he does along the way is out of love for others. And at least in any interaction I've had with, I mean, at school, for example, all of my friends know I'm a Christian. But even if I discuss that, or if I've talked about it before, it's unfortunate that there's this thing like, well, that's your thing. Because I think a lot of times nowadays, people feel that, or see groups of Christians that can be pretty judgmental. I've seen a lot of people be judgmental, and people have left the faith because of this stereotype that the Christian community is judgmental. And I also think that's unfair to say. Obviously, it's stereotyping a community. And I think that's largely untrue. And that's so far from what Jesus did and from the Bible and from the core of Christianity. It's about love, it's about non-judgment. Jesus hung out with sinners, and that's how he was able to, bring them to the faith and show them that hope through God. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. Again, right, like just to clarify as well, we don't mean beating over the head in terms of like, if someone is declaring their faith and is strong in their faith, that's amazing. And again, I've done, even through songs before, there's a song off our upcoming album that is like that, largely coming out of a place from me where I was struggling, grappling with faith, and also with seeing other Christians who just exemplify judgment, it seems, a lot more than love and embracing others, regardless of if they're Christian or not. So yeah, I think a lot of my songs just come out of personal experience, and at the center of, I think, yeah, every single song I've written lyrically, there is the message of hope through Jesus in it.
Good to know. Thank you guys for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
So, do you want to say anything in relation to that, Bryce? Are you good?
Oh, Reese is the lyrical mastermind. He killed it.
Okay. So you mentioned the new album. Do you have a title for it yet?
Yes, it's going to be called The Woods Will End You.
The Woods Will End You. That's cryptic. When can we expect this? Are you guys going to release more singles prior to it, or what's the time frame look like for that?
Yeah, so we've got a couple more singles coming in the next few months, and then the album will be out late spring, early summer of 2022.
Okay, spring, summer, cool.
Yeah,
That works just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So we're nearing the end of our discussion here, but I do want to hit on one other thing. You guys are playing almost every weekend, sometimes throughout the week, out there on the East Coast. When can we expect you to go west?
So this summer, what's up?
I need you in California. That's where I'm.
Oh, well, I don't know how far west we'll be going, but this summer, we've got 2 festivals bookending the month of July, and throughout the entire month of July, we're going to be on the road. So we're going to be hitting out into the Midwest a lot of stuff on the East Coast. As of now, I don't think we're getting as far to the West Coast, just because we want to maximize our radius, and there's kind of getting across that, like, once you hit like Nebraska into like the Rockies, it gets a little sparse there. So we're gonna try to maximize all of our shows in the East and Midwest for this summer. But dude, if we get the opportunity to come west, we're all in for it.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, we're working on shows out here with the magazine where actually there's talk of us doing a festival here in California.
Ooh.
Possibly, we'd like to do it like late summer, early fall. So probably sometime in September. And maybe we can get you guys out here for that.
Yeah, keep us posted, man.
We're all for it.
A lot of bands we want to get out here, and just depending on budget wise and expenses and stuff like that. I think where we're looking at right now is there's different bands like Chaotic Resemblance. They'll come here. They've been out here a number of times. Even Grave Robber been out here. But I think the way they're trying to work it is that we'll pay the bands if they can get here, but we can't pay to get them here. So
Right.
Yeah.
Besides the festival, it's a good possibility we might be able to set up a couple of smaller shows, a couple hours away.
That'd be awesome, man.
Not everybody
Yeah.
can travel to get there. So if you make your way out here, we'll definitely get you guys.
That sounds great.
And we've got 2 magazines we're representing here and radio stations. So we'll get the word out there.
Sick.
Yes.
I don't know who else is going to be there. There's been talks of we're trying to get the band Flood possibly on there. You guys know who they are. Have you heard Flood yet?
Who's that? You cut out a little bit.
Have you heard of the band Flood?
Not
I
sure.
don't think I have.
Flood, you need to check them out. They're a new band, but they feature in their ranks 3 original members of Tourniquet, the vocalist
Ooh,
and both guitar players.
that's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, now that you say that, I think I've seen like a logo or like a cover art for them before, because you mentioned ex-members of Tourniquet. So yeah.
So we're looking at trying to get them on the bill. A band called Precious Death from back in the day. Bloodgood.
Nice.
Yeah.
Number of different bands out here on the West Coast and from abroad. Just trying to see. We'd love to have Living Sacrifice play, but I don't know if that'll happen. They
That would be sick.
That'd be sick.
get them to come over a little bit further.
Yeah.
It'll probably just be a one-day festival for the first year. We're looking at maybe 10 bands or so. But
Cool.
Hi.
we'll see what happens. We'll keep you informed on it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been a great pleasure just sitting down and finally getting to chat with you. I'm looking forward to the new album. Love the new single. Love the video. You guys are so full of energy, so youthful. It's good to see that the younger generation is not wasted. Especially when it
Thank
comes
you,
to-
man. We appreciate that.
And I just pray that you guys have a blessed day and have a great gig this weekend.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
fantastic week.
We'll talk to you again.
Awesome.
See you
See you later,
soon.
man. Thanks for having us.